next season of Biz Talks with Catherine Bertrand, who is a business coach for entrepreneurs. And she's our second Latina in a row on our show who has launched and successfully been running an online business from her home. Catherine, welcome to the show.
Hi, Susanna. Thank you so much for having me here today.
So tell us a little bit about yourself. How did you start out as an online coach?
I transitioned from corporate. I worked for more than 15 years in corporate America. I climbed the corporate ladder. I get my coaching certification by the University of Miami, and also in order to train lifestyle coaches in the United States for evident disease prevention programs from the Center for Disease Control. So I have to have a lifestyle coaching certification. I love coaching. I feel that that is where the transformation happens. And so after 15 years climbing the wall and getting senior leadership positions, I decided that I really want to become an entrepreneur, and I have want to run and help people on my terms. And that's how I started my journey almost 5 years ago.
Do you remember the last drop in the glass that made you decide to pivot or to leave
Uh, I,
corporate?
I I knew that I want to leave. Took me just a year and a half to finally make the decision, because I didn't have the mindset. I have worked so much on mindset and different things that I have to unlearn, but took me like a year and a half to do it. And more of anything is just like that sense of that security blanket, which I call, of having a high paying salary and all the benefits and everything like that. But inside of me, I knew that I want to do more. And I didn't want to have like that cap. Like, really, honestly, I want to be 100% the decision maker. And doesn't matter how high I climb a corporate ladder, I will always have somebody that is going to be the one that says yes or no and how I should help other people. And that was kind of the pivotal point. Like, I have to do it. It's just like took me like a year and a half just to finally say okay. And I say like, okay, it's today or it's never. And that was because I was getting sick, too much stress, too much work, my kids. And I'm like, okay, one day I just woke up and I said like, this is the day. I type my letter and I make an appointment with my boss, and I left 3 weeks after.
How was it for the first couple of weeks when you started out? Because I know a lot of new coaches find it challenging to create, a routine or a habit like schedule that they can follow. Was it easy for you to get on track with coaching, or how did you go about it?
I wouldn't say that was a couple of weeks. I will say that was a couple of months. Um, that it, like, if I will tell somebody that's going to take a couple of weeks, it's going to be unrealistic. There's so many things that you have to learn, and so many things that you feel that you know. Especially in my case, like, I come from a senior position traveling, but anyways, you are in corporate and you have marketing department, you have logistics, you have assistants, you have a team. So you have so many people that you are just, you know, delegating your tasks. When you start this journey, it's just you. And you feel that you are working more hours that you work in corporate, trying to learn everything else and trying to like crack the egg to see, what works and what doesn't. But most than anything else, like, being organized after few months was like, okay, really own what is not working, and what skills I really need to learn, because if not, just like knowing how to coach. Because for me, I'm a coach, Many people didn't know what coaching is, but learning different things, learning the online space, learning Instagram, how to really connect with people, so there were so many things that took me months, but mindset, I will say, that was the number one thing that helped me. Like, you can learn anything from anybody, but if you don't have the right mindset, you are not going to make it. It's going to be really challenging to making, to be successful without the right mindset, because it goes beyond of knowing how to do a strategy. But if you are not willing to fail, you know after the second try, you're going to give up. You're going to get up one day and you're going to feel like, I don't want to do this anymore. So, mindset was the number one thing that helped me to start to get organized, basically, in what I need to do first to start to get paying clients, and how long I can keep going without having clients. That was one of the things that I ask um, my client, like people on the, when we meet, how long you're willing to, because people doesn't want to invest. And I get it. It's not, and I'm pretty sure that they want to be successful, but at the end of the day, many times it's not the money, it's not the amount of money that they have to invest, is the fear of don't get the return of the money, or the fear that is like $2,000 or $5,000 or $100, right? Is that fear of like, I'm putting money, like I'm spending money. They don't see the big picture. And when you don't see the big picture is when you have to ask yourself how long you can keep going, circling around, don't making much progress without having paying clients. So that happened to me. I was keeping circling around without, that knowledge. So that's one of the things that I start to do first. I'm like, okay, I need to start to, if I have to have another online business, I need to learn the psychology of an online shopper. And the online space. So that was the first thing that I did when I started to work with mindset, and really pain point was not the coaching, because the coaching I have it clear, was like the mindset and the business aspect to start to get paying clients. So
It's
yeah.
a really important thing that you have just mentioned. It is not enough to be an expert, it is not enough to be excellent at something. You have to learn to create a system that is going to sell that expertise, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because
Exactly.
without that sales machine or marketing machine, and also the business bits, the legalities, the the financial planning and strategizing, without all those, no matter how excellent you can do the service delivery, there's nobody to deliver those services to, right? And a
Exactly.
lot of the times people tend to handle these two things separately. So either they come from a marketing background and they know how to market them, how to promote them, even online, really well, but then the client experience flops, and then they struggle keeping the business sustainable, or they don't know much about the marketing bit or the sales bit, and then this is why they cannot really deliver services, because there are no people for that. How could you integrate these two parts of the business after the first couple of months, as you say? Did you hire help? And if you did, how did you choose who to hire? Because you mentioned we are so afraid to put money into the business, to invest into the business, even if we struggle. But how was it in your case?
I didn't hire until probably a year and a half ago. I learned how to do the things on my own. And I start, I have a mindset coach. I have a spiritual coach, and I have a business coach. So I spent a lot of, because I'm a firmly believer that every coach needs a coach. And then after I start to implement And for me, that's key, because if you are going to, and I invest at the beginning of my journey in a virtual assistant, but I didn't even know myself how, why do I want to expect. I didn't know what results I want to have. I didn't have that knowledge. So I waste a lot of money there. So I spend a lot in, I have a Facebook ads mentor, and then I get a high ticket course for list building to start to build my email list. And I learn a lot from, I get a one-on-one, a couple, like there were like 5 coaching sessions to understand Instagram and the online space and all these kind of things. So I start to implement everything, like I was the one that was implementing everything that I was learning, because for me that was important. In that way I know that this works, and that's the knowledge that I can share with, with the people that that hire me. But like right now I have a social media manager, and I have a graphic designer, uh, and I subcontract a VA, a virtual assistant for different tasks. But yeah, that's my team now. And I can tell you we work really well, because I know exactly, like we sit down and these are the expectations, these are the goals, I know how it works. And yeah, at the beginning people wants to hire right away, and that's what you hear outside. Hire somebody to do, for example, your social media, or to handle your Instagram. In that way you have the time to do what you can, that you do the best, and to get money and find money. But at the end of the day, if you don't want one or the other one, what is the story that you're running? So I feel 100% that you need to, and I see that most of, my clients are new entrepreneurs, and they, when they look for help, one of the things is like, we're overwhelmed with Instagram. I We are not going to handle your Instagram until you really learn how this work and the strategy behind, because the day that your agent or your social media manager or whoever disappears, you have to be able to run the show while you hire the right person next time. So if you don't have no idea how this works, you cannot tell whoever you are hiring, that was my case, what you are expecting from them. So whatever they tell you they're doing, even if it's not working, you cannot say like, yes, do this, do that in another way, because you don't know. So I will say, before hiring, have an idea at least how that works. Even when I was in corporate, one of the things that I learned in my career earlier was that if you have an indispensable person in your team, you're setting up your team for failure, because at the moment that that indispensable person is not there anymore, it's over, because you don't know how to do it. That's the indispensable person. So you never should have an indispensable person in your team. So I didn't apply that in my entrepreneurial journey, and 100% I'm like, okay, this is something that we all have to keep in mind.
It's very interesting that you mentioned this, that you want to oversee all the different bits and pieces and processes of the business before you hire it out, because there is somebody who is responsible for, making it work seamlessly. And I am also a firm believer of this approach, because to some extent you need to understand the mechanisms in order for you to be able to find a good fit for, the positions that you want to hire for, right? So
Mm-hmm.
without learning the basics or the fundamental pieces, you definitely set yourself up for failure. And it's not even the financial loss, but most of the time when you start a coaching business, you want to make an impact, you want to make a difference, and you cannot make a difference in your clients' lives if the machine, the business machine behind is broken. So I totally get you. I totally get you. And so once you started to learn the things, and as you say, wasted money on certain hires, you paid your dues, so to say.
Yes.
What was the breakthrough point? So what was it when you felt confident that this coaching business of yours is going to work?
When I got my first client, and I feel that for many people it's like that. And then when you get your first client, when you just like keep going the momentum, because I don't know about you, but that is like when the first one sign, and especially if you're a high ticket coach and you have a high ticket offers, at that moment it's just like, if one person sign, I can have anyone else to sign. So just keeping up that momentum was the pivotal moment for me. Like, okay, I'm putting the pieces together, like, yes, I'm ready. uh, and like I said before, like when I start my first offer flop, like I felt miserable. Like the first one, nobody enrolled, nobody, and that was, I didn't, like I said before, I didn't know too much about the online space. I didn't know how that works. I thought that was enough for me to do this, or maybe show up a couple of times, and the message was not clear. So was uh, you know was really hard. And when I got my first mentor, I remember that he honestly told me, and I will never forget that, and I'm so thankful. He was a sales coach, and he was like, Catherine, if nobody bought your offer, it's because your offer sucks. It's not about you, it's about your offer. But when I hear that your offer sucks, I was like, but then learning, there is more to this than just a website, and the sales page has to be, in a special way, and there's so many pieces of this puzzle that you have to learn how to put together. So when you go through this process, and when you finally are able to sign your first client, keep that momentum going, and go back and see, what I did right. In that way I can keep doing more of the same. uh and yeah, so at that
That is
time I was
really
like,
important, yes. More of the same, not different, but more of
yes,
the same.
yes, yes, because I see many people that they want to reinvent the wheel, and
And every month they want to reinvent the wheel, right? So I don't know,
exactly.
yeah, I don't know about your initial offer that flopped. And we should normalize talking about first launches flopping, right? So
Yes,
it's like, it's okay. And
yes,
I don't agree 100% with your coach telling you that your offer sucked. Maybe it was just tiny bits and pieces that you had to tweak to make it work for the second round, right? So
mhm.
it was not like you had to completely revamp everything. Maybe
Yeah,
the
no.
pricing was not okay, or the messaging didn't fit the audience that you targeted, or so these are just subtleties. And and I wouldn't even say that the offer sucked, because have you launched that first initial offer again ever since?
Yes, after that, I launched that. Was the last time that I launched, because I was successful, but was not like sustainable. Keep going. Was in person. I did masterminds in 3 different cities, and in my head was just like, okay, it's once a month in each city. But I was traveling for 6 months every week because there were 3 different cities. But yes, after that, I did that. But at the end of the day, I made the changes that they have to be made. And But for me was that wake up call, and like you say, like we should normalize that is okay. And I see that there are so many things that people see in the online space, like the 7-figure months after 60 days or 90 days. I'm not saying
which
that
is
it's impossible,
impossible.
but it's like very not too much realistic, right? Is or you have tons of money to put in ads, like if you have 5 figure to put just in ads for a return of investment, or there are different factors. But if you are the average Joe or solopreneur and you're starting, that's not realistic. And I understand that as a marketing strategy is you want to share the emotions, what is going to be the emotion of your client after they hire you, right? No, it's not your product or your service, it's the emotion of what is going to be after they work with you, right? That is what they want to hear. However, like I always stand up for no fluff and no glitter. I will tell you exactly, what it is, and this is what I stand up. This is what I believe. This is what has worked for me and my clients, um, because in it's not, like I say, it's not impossible, but it's very, it's not realistic, especially in that short amount of time.
Or even if it happens, as you say, you have a 5 figure investment in ads and you hire a great team for another 5 figure investment. And then that's somewhere around almost a 6 figure investment. And then you generate 6 figures, but the profit has nowhere near worth
Yes.
the efforts, and both time and money wise, or effort and money wise, and you cannot deliver on the promise that you made, during the launch, then it's not
Mm-hmm.
sustainable. It's not sustainable if you don't have the infrastructure to serve 100 people. Then you don't want to market to your offer to 100 people. If you don't have your experience in serving clients in group settings, then it's not going to work. If you know how I mean. So you can
Yeah.
generate as much as you want, but it's just a one time, like those pop stars who have one
Yes.
hit and
Once,
then it's
yeah.
done.
Exactly, exactly. And so that's so important what you say, and you have said this like twice since we have been talking, like how the key here is a sustainable business. So it has to be sustainable. This is not just miss and hit and miss. This is something that if you are committed to have something that is this is it. This is your job. This is your legacy. This is your business. This is something that you are creating to be able to scale. Um, and go after the life that you want, because that's why most of us, we start our business, and we all have our dreams and go after that freedom. That means different things for so many people, right? Can be, if we are moms, can be that find that freedom to spend more time with the kids, or if you are single and you want to travel the world, or if you are close to retire. There's so many factors, but the only way to do that is like if you want to have a sustainable business. If it's not sustainable, you're going to find yourself today coaching, tomorrow doing Herbalife, the day after you're doing something else, because
And
you
you
don't
can
take the
call
time.
all of these like pivots. For me, it is not pivoting. When you pivot, you
Exactly.
relaunch your offer with a different message or to a different audience. But if you are coach on Monday and a Herbalife promoter
Yes.
on Tuesday, you are not pivoting. You don't know what you're doing. Maybe it's a
Exactly.
bit hard to say so, but that's the
But
truth,
it's
right?
true. Exactly. It's exactly like you say. Is you pivot, you rebrand. You launch your offer in a different way. You go from being I don't know, a career coach to be, a more towards lifestyle coach. Who knows? And that's totally fine. But when you just like start from scratch, is when you don't have the big vision, when you are not ready to set up, a foundation. And I appreciate that you say that, because also I feel that for people that wants to have like a side hustle, or they have a side hustle is totally different than a business. Probably you're testing the waters. However, you don't put the effort, and you don't invest in the same, and you don't feel that this is it when it's a side hustle. Because people that have side hustle, they don't care if they make $100 more, or 50 or 500. So yeah.
It's not just that with a side hustle, you want to make some extra. And then you have a clear goal. Like, I want to make extra money for my next, I don't know,
Mhm.
summer holidays, or to buy a bigger house in 5 years, or whatever it is. But when you run a business, there has to come a time when you understand that the responsibility is bigger because you are growing your team. So you are responsible for your team's money or salary, or what, payment, or
Yeah.
whatever it is. So
Yes.
there has to be a shift. So you have to put on your CEO hat, I like to say. With a side hustle, you can be your own boss and your own employee, and the worst boss and best employee at that, because you can work your ass off with a side hustle. But with a business, you have to
Mhm.
be really responsible and think like, not like a boss, but like a CEO. So you have to have the long-term vision and know the strategy to get there, but do it in a way that you incorporate, you know, the and embody the whole vision, so that people trust that that business is going to weather through whatever
Yeah.
happens. Because with a
Exactly.
side hustle, you can drop it anytime. But with a business, when you have even just one VA, it is a responsibility.
Exactly. And I love that, the analogy of the CEO, because the CEO also, many people is, thinks like the CEO is the one that, like, I don't know, when you see posts and people talking about CEO, especially in social media, they feel like, oh, the CEO is the one that get up and they leave and they take the vacation what they want. And the like that's the description of I'm my own boss. The CEO, the real life in corporate, is the one that has the heavy load. The CEO is the responsible for the company. The CEO is the one that get their fares first in the business. They leave, after everybody else. They are the ones that are there, like the definite decision maker. They are the ones that carry the load of the employees, that make whatever the decisions that are the best for the employees and for themselves. The CEO is the visionary and the one that works the most. So what you this, so I really love what you say, and I appreciate that you say that, because that's that's the reality of who, what to be a CEO means. Is not like, okay, I want to be the CEO because I want to go on vacation, or I want to take off when I want. uh that's being your own boss. Being a CEO is the mentality that you just described.
Anna, in one of the comments, brings up a really great point. When you studied enough and have enough experiences and start to enjoy what you do, to play, not to work, your business will start to work too. How do you feel about this?
I you have to like what you're doing, right, at the end of the day. Because if not, then you're working, and working is, heavy. And one of the things that many people ask me, like, do you have hobbies? I don't have a I like what I do, so I don't have a problem answering a DM on a Sunday or on a Friday. And it's not that I'm workaholic. It's just like I like what I do. This is my business, and I love it. So but the reality is that there is going to be, for any business, for more than you love it, there are sometimes in the business that you're not going to be probably motivated to do what you have to do, and it's easier to procrastinate. And that's the reality. You can love it, but you know, we're humans. We can get up and like, oh, I live in Florida. Maybe I want to go to the beach, and I just like looking at the beach. I'm like, okay, maybe I want to go to the beach, but is that responsibility, right? I love what I do, so no, I have to do what I have to do. And that
Again,
that
the
doesn't have,
CEO mindset.
yes, and that doesn't have nothing to do with loving it. But when you don't love what you do, I feel that if you don't love it, you're not gonna, it's not gonna be sustainable, because it's gonna be, eventually you're not gonna be able to do it anymore. It's gonna be so overwhelming. It's gonna be draining. And I feel that is what is that's what happened with social media, or especially with Instagram. I see that all the time. People taking breaks. I'm taking a break. I'm overwhelmed. They're overwhelmed because one, their expectations are too high. And like, let's say you post and you don't have that many engagements. If you have 3 people engage with your post, it's 3 people, but you want 200. So you're gonna be overwhelmed, right? And they start to get into, because you don't love it anymore. And I understand why they want to take a break, but that's when we come back. Like, okay, so you have to learn the skills. You have to get out of that, going in circles without knowing what you are doing. And to get to that point, to be, you don't get overwhelmed overnight. It's just like you don't listen to the signs that that they are coming, and they are building up to the point that you say like, I'm leaving for the weekend. I come back in 2 weeks or whatever, or you're like, I'm missing in action. So I feel that there is a huge difference. You don't get overwhelmed overnight or burned out overnight. It's a process. It's just like we don't listen. Uh, and we probably, so many people, they don't know how to identify that. And that's what I've told you at the beginning, like many people hire coaches, tell me what to do. But if I tell you what to do out of the bat without working on your mindset and your clarity, I'm not doing you a favor, because what is going to make you successful is learning the CEO habits, is learning how to do all this stuff that you are going to be able to run the strategies. That's the easiest part to learn. But unlearning your habits, learning new ones, resetting your mind, dumping your brain, learning how to hustle, that's the important piece of being a business owner. The rest you can learn. But if you don't have your mindset and that CEO habits and things that you have to have, it's going to be challenging.
Yes, there is a link at the bottom of the screen rolling, which talks about one of your signature offers, right? Who is this for? And what
uh
is the unique selling proposition? So, what is the USP of this offer?
okay, the one that is running here is a freebie. And I have this freebie. It's not on my website, so that's a special just for this. And is how to create your business, your online business. It's a very complete guide instead of a checklist. Is because I'm a coach, and it's something that is going to help you to set up for success. Uh, and when you finish that, of course, that is the information and everything that you can or work one on one with me, or at least you have the foundation. This is what I need. Some of the clients that I have from people that has finished, the guide, is people that they're ready. Because if you have something like this, because I found this that is so valuable, Like even when I was creating it, my graphic design is like, "Are you sure that this is gonna be for free?" I'm like, I'm just gonna use it for special occasions. But yes, so that tells me a lot, because if you finish the guide and you realize that you need, somebody, that's the best way for me to show my skills, to show them what is possible, and to for them to start to, brainstorm. It's not a checklist. And that's why it's, I created like that.
So this is a special freebie offer to those who are watching. So
Yes.
be really be really intentional with downloading it and committing to putting in the effort
Yeah.
to make it happen, dear audience, or you who are watching our interview with Catherine, because she did not put all her heart and soul into it, but put the foundational pieces that you need to get your business started, right?
Correct. Yes. So yeah, that was the intention behind. And like I said before, when you download it, it's so complete that, is that's why it's not like a regular freebie for a lead magnet. And we can talk about marketing here, you and I, for another hour. But that's why is really important. That's why I share that, when I have the opportunity to collaborate with people like you, that has an audience that really want to grow. So yeah, and my information is at the end of the freebie, and they can contact me, and we can go from there. I just take 3 clients per month, no more than that. So yeah.
Which also talks about the quality and depth of work that you provide or offer to your clients, because it is not like a client machine, right, that you operate.
Hmm.
It's more like a conscious and dedicated effort to serve your people, right?
Yes, yes, 100%. I feel that, when I work one on one with people, is I'm your accountability partner, right? I'm 100% present, and I'm here to help you be successful, and be that blank canvas that you always kind of start from scratch, and how we can set up those important pieces and the foundation, to have a sustainable business.
Okay, what what would, just closing out this, because yes, we could talk another hour about
Yes,
marketing,
I
but just to
know, I
close,
know.
so just to close out this interview, what one piece of advice would you give to your younger self, to yourself, let's say 5 years ago, when you handed in your resignation?
I
Now,
will say,
mhm.
I will say, with my resignation, I should give, put my ego in the resume, in the resignation letter. I feel that, so many times, especially when you are transitioning from corporate, or if you have education, and I see this all the time, especially, people from corporate or that has degrees and masters, the ego doesn't let you see, because you don't want to fail. And that's the reality. We don't want to fail. We want to, but that becomes a barrier. And that was one of my biggest barriers at the beginning of my entrepreneurial journey. So I will say to myself, just make sure to put that ego, stick it somewhere right there on your resignation letter.
Thank you so much for coming today and sharing your wisdom with us. And if you catch us on the replay, then make sure to leave all your questions down below, because we are coming back to every single one of the comments and answer them. And see you
Yeah.
same time, same place next Thursday with another amazing online coach and her entrepreneurial journey. Until then,
Thank you so much for having me here, Susanna.